Okay, now that we've got an understanding of why you need to do this, and I usually sometimes do things backwards just so you get understanding of how things are positioned. Of course, when you do an unwrap, you do the unwrap first and then you'll go and create the texture, but we did it this way so you can get a better understanding of how things are positioned. So it's not going to be all the time that you're going to find a texture already unwrapped for you, already textured for you, so you're only going to be fitting your UVs to it. In reality, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing your UVs first, and then you're going to go and take the model into a texturing software or taking into Photoshop and texturing that separately. So just to give you an example, and again you can do this as part of this exercise as well, is to take this out of Maya. How would you take it into Photoshop? So let me just give this a new material, so we start again. So I can click on this and I'll call it let's create a crate instead of a box, just to make it a bit different. So I'm just going to go create a crate, hit that, and we'll use the same UV layout because we already know that this is the bottom and this is the top. And to figure that out, obviously we just have to select the faces and we know which one it was, so there's no point us unwrapping this again just for this exercise. We know what our parts are what. So this is our side, this is our front, this is our back, and bottom and top. So we've got the understanding of that. So even if this was, we started again and we had a new model, we would try to get this unwrapped, or even if we use that new the other setup, we just need to get an understanding of where these faces are. So which one's the bottom, which one's the front, so we can actually texture them correctly. So in order to export this out, what we do is we select hit faces and then we select everything that you can see inside the viewport, because we want all these faces to be exported out as a map so we can paint on it. So you hit polygon and you'll go down to UV snapshot, and when you start this up, your setting will be set to 256. What we'll do is I'll put this up to 2048, just so that's the 2K texture size that we're going to use. You can use larger if you want to, but anyway, that's the one that I want to use. And yours will be set to Maya IFF. Change that to a JPEG and save this somewhere where you can access it. So I'm just going to navigate this to somewhere I can remember to get the stuff out from. So okay, so I'm gonna call this texture 2. So I'm just gonna overwrite that. So I've called it texture 2, and I'm gonna press OK on that, and I'm gonna hit overwrite. You guys won't have to overwrite because I already had a texture there which I've overwritten. And I'm gonna go into Maya, so please ignore this for a second, this was something else. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that texture 2 that I've exported out. So you'll see that this is my UV space now. So I've got a 2D image of what I can see in 3D. So that's basically a map of the 3D model which has been flattened out, and so I can see it in this 2D software. Now traditionally this used to be done only through Photoshop or completely 2D packaging software, so you could only paint inside a 2D software. Of course nowadays we've got loads of different tools. ZBrush also allows you to paint textures. We have Mari, we have Substance Painter, and all these are tools that are designed to do texturing in 3D. But this is a basic workflow that I'm going to be showing you just to kind of get a better understanding of how it works in 2D as well. A lot of you guys already have access to Photoshop as well, so you can utilize this method. So there's loads of ways that you can texture, but this is a quick method of getting your textures in. So I know that this is my bottom face, this is my top, this is my side, my front. I've got a good understanding of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a material, so I'm just gonna just choose any color for now, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna put that there, and I'm going to take and make a duplicate of this black UV texture. I'm gonna put that at the top, and I'm gonna hit overlay so I can see these lines through there. You can hit overlay, you can hit soft light, whichever one that you can see. So we'll just stick to soft light for now, so I can just see that. Sometimes people also invert this just so they get black lines instead of white lines appearing, but this gives us a rough idea of where everything is. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our texture and we're going to start painting. Now you can hand paint things, or you can use image, and when you're doing this, especially if you're doing a building, a house and stuff, you can use photographs and use it as image manipulation to paint part of textures. So crates are usually easily to find. A lot of people have already created loads of crate textures. So if I go into Google and type in crate texture, let's see what we get. Oh, here we go. We've got plenty of textures here. I'm just going to select a few of these. So here's one that I can use. I'm just going to see that. I'm going to hit save image on this. What's happening? Nope. Apologies for that. I'm just going to navigate and save these in the same spot so I can open them up. So save these wherever you can access them, and of course when you're going to be doing this exercise, you're going to be taking more time to do it. Oh. Nope, wrong folder. That's it. So I'm just going to save this here, and I'm going to go back and let me just get this one as well. Let's differentiate things. Probably not the best. Actually, let me just save it here. So it'll take ages otherwise. So you can find loads of these textures. I mean, this is one type of crate, but you can create these in Photoshop. You can paint them in Photoshop if you wanted to. You can find real photographs of real crates. And one of the things that you can do, if you go into settings here, and if you're looking for high quality, go to tool, go to size, and then let's look at some large ones and see what we get. So we've got this one here. That's the same one that we just saved. Actually, instead of that, let's hit large, and you can see that already people have created some of these textures. So we're not going to use like for like, but let's just take maybe this one as well. Save that then. And look for a few more, see if I can see. You'll see that some are more realistic. I'm only doing this as a demo, so you can take your time looking for some more textures that are more realistic, or you might want to create your own using a wood grain and playing around with it in Photoshop. When it comes to this side of things, a lot of it is just basically playing around and experimenting with the actual texture itself. So let me just close that one, go back, let me type in crate front. See what we get. Yeah. Let's see if I like any of those. Actually, look at this one. That's too small. I think I'll got this one anyway, but I'll just save that again. So once I've saved that, maybe I want to get a cargo sign or something, so I can put cargo sign stamp. Okay, there we go. We'll save this as well. Get this one here. Oh, God, you get a lot of these signs that, or I'll get this one here, just because it doesn't have. Because you can type this, you can find font as well. I'm going to take this one. See, I'll just save this one for now as well, just so we have something to play around with later on. I'm just going to put this in the same location so I can just pull them out there. So I'll go back into Photoshop. I know that's taken a bit longer than I expected, just to find some images that I can use for texturing. So I'm going to go in into my new folder here, and I'm going to get some of these textures, start moving them out. So here's one of them. So I'm just gonna pull that one into here. Give it a few seconds. So here's loaded it up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one for the sides, so I can hit Ctrl T and I can scale that up and down and roughly try to get it in the right area there. Actually that's the top, so we wanna make it so the top part and the bottom part, so the bottom's gonna have a different texture, the top's gonna have the different texture, and then the remaining bits are gonna have this texture, which is gonna be of this wood here. So put this in this side. Rescale this to kind of match this better. So I'm just pressing Ctrl T on these and scaling them. Again, Photoshop is something that you guys covered last year, so try to go back on and utilize those skills that you'd learnt last year. Just press Ctrl T if you don't know how to do these basic transforms, and that gives you these widgets so you can start editing and start moving that around. So if I can move that around, just rotate that around, and we'll see how they appear, how they look on when I load it up into 3D. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the other image now. So if I go back into my new folders, yep, and let me just pull this texture out, and I'm going to put this at the bottom here, and I'm going to move another copy of it on this side, and I'm going to see how this looks like. So I'm just going to turn that off. So I'm just going to turn that off. That gives me roughly what the wood looks like, and I'm going to hit File, Save As, pull this as JPEG, and I'm going to overwrite that texture to that I had saved out. Press OK on that. Now if I go back into Maya and go into and click onto this object, I can go onto that settings here on create. So all I'm just done is selected this object and gone onto this menu here, the attributes editor, and just hit right until I found my shader, and I'm gonna load that texture up onto this. So if I just navigate through that and load up texture 2, you'll start seeing that texture is actually here. Now you can see that for some bits it looks cool. I've got this here. I've created this shape here. If I select on that and turn my texture back on, you'll be able to see it. If I'm not happy with something, for instance, I could always modify it and change it. I can change these faces around. If I'm not happy with how this is appearing or how this is looking, I can go into Photoshop and then modify that around as well. So you can see from that the model itself, there's a bit of a bleed from the yellow there, and that might be the case because I didn't adjust my texture properly. You can see that on this side there's a bit of line, so I can go back into Photoshop, turn that line on so I can see it. So you can see, I'm just going to turn the yellow off so I can see it a bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that face, I think it's this one, and I'm just going to nudge that across. One thing that you can do is you can play around with the way you want these to appear. So if they're not looking right, you can play around, modify and move them around. What we'll do is we'll also load up our cargo kind of texture so we can put something onto this. So if I go in and go to open and just find that cargo texture that I had saved, press open on that, give it a second. So here it is, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull that into this layer, and I can use that. I'm gonna go to select, actually color range, just hit white there and press OK, so it just kind of selects that for me, and hit delete so I don't have any of that there. And I'm going to put this maybe on the top of the on the top of the box. So I know this was the top of the box for me. So that's there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the layers. So I'm just going to put this on maybe screen or overlay. So it's red, it's overlaid, and if I just press save as and overwrite that file again, so here it is, save, overwrite, press OK, and I just have to reload it in this again. So if I hit that and hit reload, you see that the texture here has updated that. So that way my model now works fine. This texture here, I don't like the way this is going in the wrong direction. I want this to spin around. So some of this you can change in Maya but because this is an UV and you don't want to go back into the UV editor, let's rotate this inside Maya instead of going back here and rotating it in Photoshop. So what I can do is select this face and open up my UV editor again. So where's my UV editor? If I click on that, bring that up and see where this face is. So right now that face is joint, so if I move anything you'll see that it'll stretch all the textures. So if I just turn that off to show you, right now what's happening is all is stitched up. So this face, when we were hitting move and sew in the last video, it was sewing this back up. So we're gonna unattach this. We're gonna hit create a new UV shell. So if I create UV shell, now if I click that, it allows me to separate that. Of course I can also hit detach and that will do it separately, which now means is that I can rotate this. So if I hit the rotate option and if I just turn this on and rotate that again, I now have this spinning around, and this to me looks much better. So what did I do? So that's like a basic unwrap for you, and you can see from this that we get this kind of result where you can create this very basic shape, but you can see the unwrapping from that. Next video I'm going to show you a quick tip on how you can use some of these textures to do a bit more extra detailed modeling if you need to, and we'll just use this crate to just demonstrate that across.